All right, and what is it that you are objecting to?
Well, Miss Jones was supposed to see her daughter 24 days a month or a year, and the child support was calculated based on that. As I said previously, she maybe sees her daughter 10 overnights a year. We kind of went with a higher amount than that. She hasn't had her daughter from an overnight since April of whenever the last court hearing was, except for last night. She showed up and took her daughter for one night in the last however 3 months. And I'm guessing probably just because it was the day before she went to court. So 24 overnights a year is a gross exaggeration on the amount of time that she will see her daughter. And I also just wanted to point out some of the other things in my lengthy...
Right from the start, the father steps forward with a clear frustration that has clearly been building for months. He points out a huge gap between what the paperwork says and what is actually happening in real life. The court record claims the mother is supposed to have the child for 24 overnights a year, but according to him, the reality is barely a fraction of that. His argument is simple but powerful. The numbers used to calculate child support don't reflect the true parenting time. From his perspective, the system is relying on assumptions instead of real behavior. It's a reminder that in family court, paperwork can sometimes tell a very different story than everyday life.
Response to Mrs. Jones's thing that she wrote, and that's it.
All right, Ms. Jones' camera is now on. Ms. Jones, can you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, you also filed an objection. What is the basis of your objection?
I just would like it recalculated based on our tax returns. He said he returned in for 2 pay stubs when I think requested 4. My concern is he has a master's degree. He has a license to practice occupational therapy. He's choosing not to. As far as I know, he hasn't even applied to work in occupational therapy. In addition to that, when we had our calculations done in 2020, he was working part-time OT, and then after that he started working as a bartender and server, which he continues to do now and had been for years. So I just like it recalculated based on all of that information.
Part of the court, what was the documents used to calculate the income?
For Timothy,
Yes.
we used his year-to-date for 16 weeks at his current job, and it was...
Now the mother's camera comes on, and immediately the focus shifts from parenting time to income. Her objection centers on something many courts look at very closely: earning potential. She argues that the father holds a master's degree and a professional license in occupational therapy, yet he's currently working as a bartender and server. Her concern isn't just about what he earns now, but what he could earn if he used his qualifications. In child support cases, that distinction matters a lot. Courts often examine whether someone is underemployed by choice, and her argument is clearly pushing the court to consider that possibility.
Calculated it and put in at $975 times 52 weeks.
And Mr. Jones, what would you like to say regarding your income?
My income is what it is, Your Honor. I am bartending and waiting tables because I have to, because we live in northern Michigan where there are very few jobs available. The one I had was one of the only available within an hour away from my home. I've driven an hour away from my home here before. It was miserable. It was one of the things that cost me my marriage. I was bartending and waiting tables to be able to pay child support because for years I paid while having the children full-time. Miss Jones filed a false police report and got me fired from my job because the police showed up and went through their cameras after she said I broke into her home. And then after the weekend, all of a sudden she drops the charges and says she can't find the video of me breaking into her home, which is just preposterous in every possible way. And so my job fired me because they didn't want the police showing up, checking out their therapist for home invasion, which I guess is...
The father fires back with a detailed explanation that adds a whole new layer to the situation. According to him, his career path didn't change by choice but by circumstance. He describes losing his occupational therapy job after a police report accusation led to police appearing at his workplace. Even though he says the accusation was later dropped, the damage was already done. Employers and facilities didn't want the attention, and he ended up losing the position entirely. This moment reveals something courts often struggle with: how outside conflicts between parents can ripple into employment and finances.
Not even my employer that fired me, it's the facility that we work at that we're contracted with demanded that I be fired because they didn't want the police in the facility anymore. So, yes, I'm bartending and waiting tables with a master's degree. I'm making good money. I mean, $1,000 a week is about what I was making when I was practicing. I continue to look for a job. I have applied for several, but like I said, I'm not going to drive over an hour away anymore, especially when I'm making about the same amount of money as I was making before. And Miss Jones says that you guys didn't have her correct income information. Well, she was given the same 14 days to give the information that I did. I gave them my previous year's tax returns and my last 2 pay stubs, exactly what they asked for. I've been at this job for almost a year now. I don't know, 10 months now, 8 months, something like that. It's where I'm going to be for a while until I find something very close, and I don't see that happening in the near future. But even if I do, the income's going to be about the same, like I said.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Jones, anything else that you want to say?
He continues by explaining that bartending and waiting tables are not temporary side jobs for him anymore. They are what's keeping his income stable. Interestingly, he claims he's earning roughly the same amount per week as he did before. That detail is critical because it weakens the idea that he's intentionally lowering his income. At the same time, he makes it clear he has applied for other jobs, but refuses to commute over an hour away again, saying that long commute contributed to problems in his marriage before. Here the debate shifts from numbers to lifestyle choices and what counts as reasonable employment.
Part of your objection?
Yes, and he made that much money waiting tables and bartending in addition to his occupational therapy job. There are jobs listed on Indeed for months in Boyne, Gaylord, Grayling, Petoskey. He says he hasn't applied. I doubt he's applied, because last time he said he didn't want to even do that job anymore, that he wasn't happy. He has the means to make that income, to get a job. He's not currently doing it. There's no reason that I know of that he can't be hired in as that. There was an incident where someone broke into my home when my kids and I were downstate for Thanksgiving. And
Not true.
Excuse me,
Well,
I've talked.
I don't know whether or not there was a break-in or not. It's certainly not going to be determinative of what is the decision I have to make, so it's not really relevant.
Well, I just wanted
So anything else?
he had it on record, so I thought I could have an opportunity to explain my side as well.
Well, I'm not using what he said as any sort of evidence in this matter.
Thank you.
All right, anything else you want to say, ma'am?
I was out of town for a little bit. When I came back to get my paperwork done, it was a few days late. I thought it was 14 days.
The mother pushes back again, arguing that job opportunities for occupational therapists are available in nearby areas. She references listings she found online and questions whether he actually applied for them. Her position suggests that the father may simply not want to return to that profession anymore. But as she begins bringing up the alleged break-in incident again, the judge quickly steps in and shuts that part down. The judge makes it clear that the court is not here to determine what happened in that accusation. That moment shows how judges often cut through emotional disputes to focus only on what legally matters.
For me receiving it, I did turn in my paperwork in person, and they said everything looked like it was proper, what they needed. I'm just asking for it to be recalculated based on that.
You're asking that your income be recalculated?
Both of ours with the tax income from last year.
All right, so is there a difference between the amount that was calculated for you and what you are saying you're actually earning?
No, I did have a raise, and I just want to make sure that they had my correct. I did have a raise recently, and I want to make sure they had that information.
All right, in front of the court from Ms. Jones's employment, how was that calculated?
The annual amount was calculated from what the employer disclosed. The amount was $73,908.25. Her information that she submitted was within $300 of that amount.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, well, having heard from both parties, I am going to deny
As the discussion continues, the focus turns briefly to the mother's own income. She explains that she recently received a raise and wants the court to ensure her updated earnings are included in the calculation. Court staff clarify that the employer's reported amount was already very close to what she submitted, within a few $100s. In other words, the numbers used were already fairly accurate. This part highlights how child support calculations rely heavily on verified documentation rather than assumptions from either parent.
Both objections. I understand Mr. Jones is concerned with the overnights, but we need kind of a record. Mr. Jones, if you keep track of how many overnights actually happened this year, and we're not near that 24, then you're certainly free to file a new motion to change the overnights, but I'd like to have a track record of some time since this recommendation goes into place as to figure the overnights. You're not really going to have a major change probably in support because it's already at a pretty low number of overnights anyways, but I think we need a track record of what's going on with the amount of overnights that are actually happening. For today's purposes, I'm going to deny your objection as well as Ms. Jones' objection. Both have the right to file an objection to my decision within 21 days and have the matter heard before the judge. That information will be provided in the paperwork that you received from the court regarding today's decision. All right, thank you both for appearing. You are all set.
Finally, the judge delivers the decision, and neither side gets the outcome they were hoping for. Both objections are denied. The judge explains that without a longer record of actual overnight visits, it's difficult to change the calculation right now. Instead, the father is told to track the real parenting time moving forward. If the numbers continue to fall far below the expected 24 nights, he can return to court with stronger evidence. It's a practical ruling. The door isn't closed, but the court wants proof over time before making any changes.